Okay, so this is the Oppo Find N, and I'm not going to do a full review on this because other people have, and they've done a pretty good job with it. So, but they've left out some things, at least I think so. So I'm going to cover the things that they left out. Let's start with the phone, though. I do want to say a few things. I bought this from Amazon, and I paid for it, so this isn't any kind of a sponsored type of review. And they sent me a case along with it, which is nice. I would have picked black, but this isn't a bad color. It's not bad. I did buy the black phone. The phone feels really it's a really nice size from a perspective of the length and width and stuff. The front screen is very usable. I probably use it half the time. The inside screen is also very nice. I hadn't seen that animation before. Wow, that's kind of cool. But and it's very. I mean, I find myself using the main screen most of the time. Sometimes I'll open up the folded screen so I can watch videos or something like that, because videos look best when they're in the unfolded view. But the ratio and the just that you're presented with the right size, and the screen feels great. I mean, it doesn't feel flimsy or anything like that. It feels great. I mean, it's very similar to the Galaxy Z Fold, but in that respect. But there's not really any creases or anything. So, and if, you can play around with the if the phone's not unlocked, you can play around with the little slideshow here, so to speak. Oh, that's a cool car. Anyways, so here's the main screen, and I want to go over a few things. So I have Google Fi, and I put my SIM card in, and the Google Fi seems to work great. It's only 4G. I don't know if you can tell that, but it's only 4G, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't really get or make a lot of phone calls on the phone, which is kind of weird, but it's true. I installed all my apps with the exception of one. There's one app that I use for my car insurance and homeowners insurance, and I couldn't get that one to install. It just flatly would not install. Not a big deal. I don't use it that often. The rest of the apps, however, installed just fine. And the only thing I couldn't do is I was able to change the time to 12 hours to 24 hour, but I couldn't change the temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit, at least not there. So I use a different weather app, as you can see, which doesn't seem to update very often. And anyways, all the apps seem to work fine. No issues with the apps, except I started to realize that I wasn't getting notifications for all my apps. Like for instance, this Tovala app here, which is an oven that cooks food, it doesn't signal me when the food is ready. So, minor thing. Their text messaging app is okay. It's just your basic text messaging app. The only problem that I've had with it is that, well, not problem, but the only problem that I've had with it is messages come back with, somebody respond to a message and they'll be like, hey, how's it going? And then the next line is this like set of random characters. And it's kind of funny when Android, when you're in the car and your car tries to read the message. And speaking of the car, I was able to hook this thing up to the car. I can get messages, but I cannot send messages. It'll dictate the message, but then it'll try to send it and say, sorry, couldn't do it. Not a big deal. Again, the one thing that this phone does better than any other phone, and I really like that, is you'll notice that I don't have, well, I do have some notifications here. Just some permission requests, not a big deal. But other than that, I have no notifications here, okay? And you'll also notice that, like, for instance, on email, it says I have 2 messages there. And on Facebook, it says I have, I think 5 is what it says. 6, actually. On almost any other phone, like a Samsung, Pixel, you name it, as soon as you swipe the notification away up here, the badge goes away. So you can't tell how many notifications you have. This phone is not like that. I don't know how they did it, but it's definitely one of the best features about the phone, and it's the thing I like the most. So the phone works fine on 4G, and I like the phone. I like the size. I like the weight. It's a little hefty, but it feels solid. I mean, there's no gaps, and it feels great in the hand. The front screen is very usable. The biggest problem that I have with this phone is two things. One is you cannot replace the Messenger app. I tried replacing it with Google Messenger, and it says, you want to make this your default messenger, and I say yes. And then the phone comes back and switches it right back to their messaging app, and it says it's doing it for your safety. I have no idea what kind of safety they have in mind, but anyways, they're saying they're doing it for my safety, but you cannot change the Messenger app. That's a no-one issue. The other issue that I'm having, and that wouldn't be such a really big deal, and the fact that I don't get notifications for that one app, that's not such a big deal either. The one thing that is kind of a deal breaker is, well, I don't make that many phone calls on this, but when you do make a phone call on this, you really should be prepared to talk to that person like forever, because you can't hang up the phone. I've tried hitting the button that says hang up the phone. I swapped it back, but I had the Google phone dialer here, and I tried that. And it was funny. I made a call this morning, and the phone was ringing, and then the person on the other end picked up the phone, and they probably couldn't hear this, but I could certainly hear it. The phone was still ringing, and I think it's because it maybe used both dialing apps at the same time. So I just kept talking through the extra ringing and hope the other person didn't hear it, and finished up my phone call. But I finished up my phone call, meaning that person hung up, but I couldn't hang up the phone. The only way it seems you can hang up the phone is to restart the phone. So that's kind of a bummer. I could call my voicemail and it'll just sit there and expecting input. You can't input when you go to input, like you can put your passcode in just fine, but when you go to hit the button for like delete this voicemail, it doesn't recognize the input for some reason. It doesn't matter which dialer you use. So not being able to hang up a phone call is kind of a big deal for me. So I don't really want to have to restart the phone every single time I make a phone call. So, and apparently when you restart the phone, for some reason, it turns off auto rotate. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. It turns off auto rotate, so you have to go into the settings and turn that back on again. The fingerprint sensor works great. The phone, like I said, feels great. I have no issues with that. Whatever, apps look great. Yeah, I'm very pleased with the phone. I'm just really bummed that I can't make phone calls with it, and I wish I could. So one thing I'm going to try is, when I bought this phone, I put my SIM card in, and most of the time when you buy a phone, you get the experience of it boots up for the first time, and you go through the whole system setup thing, and it's you go through all that wonderful stuff. But this phone was, I want to say it was already set up. It had gone through all that factory stuff, and I just had to start installing my apps and hooking up my email and my messaging and all that stuff. So it didn't appear to be a full factory reset. So I guess my Hail Mary might be that I'm going to try to do a full factory reset on this and see what happens. I don't think that's going to help, but if it helps, great. I'll let you guys know, but I doubt it's going to help. So I'm going to be bummed to have to send this back, but I really wish that Google and Samsung would wake up and look at this, because I really like this form factor. I went and I bought a Galaxy Z Fold because the one thing that this thing has done for me is it's really renewed my passion for foldable phones. And again, this is just, it feels so solid. It's such a nice phone. I'm just so bummed that I'm going to have to send it back. So hopefully they'll actually bring this to the United States and make it official. But I kind of doubt that's going to happen, at least not anytime soon. But maybe Samsung or Google will listen, and maybe they'll make the next Samsung Galaxy Fold shorter and wider, or have an option for that. And maybe Google will come out with the Pixel Fold that's shorter and wider. Because having this front screen be usable is a huge, huge benefit. Okay, thanks for watching, and if you have any comments, let me know. Otherwise, I will let you guys know if the reset works. If there's no follow-up video, then it obviously did not work. Thank you.